Hello there, eBay sellers. This is going to be part 3 of my little video experiment about the eBay experiment. This video is called How to Stay Alive in eBay's Deadly Policy Changes. In the last video we talked a little bit about who the banks are, what's going on, who eBay is now, which is basically the banks, which is basically who's making our policy changes, which are always buyer friendly and never seller friendly, which in turn makes it harder on sellers to stay alive in eBay selling used goods. And now we're going to talk about some things that you can do to kind of protect yourself, because eBay is not going to protect you at all. eBay is not going to help you at all. They're only interested in helping that renewable dollar, which is the buyer. And I can understand that to a degree, but not to a degree where it's actually hurting the sellers, which is what it's doing these days. There are a lot of things you can do to kind of help your cases if a case should arise. If you come in contact with an eBay scammer or a parts robber, which is becoming so prevalent on eBay. To give you an example of how it works, let's say you have let's say an antique stereo. Let's say it's a Kentwood or something like that that's from the 70s, and it's 300 watt. I mean, they're sought after. People want them. Well, let's say there's a guy in Des Moines, Iowa somewhere that's got one just like the one you have for sale, but it has a burn-up power transformer in it. So he buys yours for $400, right? You ship it to him, he gets it, he takes out the burnout transformer of his and replaces it with yours. Then he ships yours back and says, hey, your item ain't working. What can you do for those kind of cases? Because eBay will almost always side with them. By the way, oddly enough, their word is always better than your word. The word of the buyer is always better than the word of the seller. So what can we do? One of the things I've done that is working well for me and saving me a lot of grief. This is an ultraviolet flashlight. It's like a regular little 3-cell light, but that's an ultraviolet light right there. This is an ultraviolet. See if you can read that. In security ink they call it, which is it basically means invisible ink. As you write something down on a paper, like on this paper, I'm going to write something. You really don't see that, right? But when you shine the ultraviolet light on it, I don't know how well you can pick that up. Yeah, you can see writing on it. Now this paper is light colored, but see, if that was a dark surface, it would show up a lot better. But still, it shows up. And the more it dries, the better it shows up too. You can kind of see it's already getting a little darker. But this can save you a lot of returns. Let's say now you sold that stereo. Now you have this in your arsenal of defense of eBay's unfair policies, and you can open up the back of that old stereo, take the top off, and everything that's removable that they can take out with removing a few screws and unplugging a wire and changing, you mark an X on it or an initial or whatever, and you take a movie camera and you make a video of you where you, after you mark, shining that light through all those components, showing that those components are marked, which is a type of proof. What do you do with that video? You start a YouTube account that is specifically for your eBay items, and you upload that video. Now you can't do this for $10 and $20 items, you'd go nuts, but you can sure as hell do it for items worth $1,000 or whatever your limit is that you're worried about getting returns on. And you could also do it just for items that are risky, items that have removable parts. The choice is yours, but I mean, you upload these videos before you list that item, and that YouTube listing is going to have a date on it. Now you ship the part off. Now the guy does the same thing we just talked about, removes the part, ships it back to you. Want to say, where's my money? You crack her open and you shine with the light with your camera running again, and lo and behold, you see where he changed out the power transformer, because there's no invisible ink on this power transformer, and the old video plainly shows that it did. What do? Now you upload that video on the same YouTube channel. It's going to have the date, you know, which you uploaded, which is going to be the day of you got to return. And now when you go into your case for eBay, and the lady is trying to determine how long it's going to take her to side with the buyer, because they always take his word better than your word, you can say, hey, look at these videos. Again, another thing you got to do is keep these videos short, because they won't look at them after 10 minutes. Keep the video short to, you know, 1-2 minutes each. And then say, this is the video when I shipped the item out. It had this power transformer in it. When I get the item back, this is a different power transformer as seen with my security ink ultraviolet pen showing it. You may, just may, turn her enough to side with you. Now, is it a sure thing she's going to side with you? No. Sometimes these people take offense that you're causing them to have to do a little more work than they usually do to decide a case. Sometimes they get angry with you and side against the buyer anyway. They don't have to consider your video. They don't have to watch your video. But at least it's something. It's a chance that you have that at least there's some proof. Now another aspect of it is, let's say it's a $2,000 or $3,000 item, and let's say it goes to court now. Now say because it's so much money, and you know, you wrecking your eBay account or whatever, you might want to actually sue these people in a court of law. That YouTube may have some grounding, and it may very well count as an evidence for your case. So it's smart. I mean, the pens cost about $5. I think I paid $6 for the light and the pen, and it doesn't cost a whole lot. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to do these videos. And it could save you a lot of grief and trouble. They have paid off for me. I sell vacuum tubes, and I mark the bottoms of my vacuum tubes. I mark them in places where they won't rub off the ink. Now, there's something else you got to know, that this ink will rub off like any other marker, and so you have to put it in places to where it's not going to be removed or rubbed off. But it can save you a lot of troubles, and that's one good tip. And I'm going to come back here in a jiffy with another one. Hang in there, eBay sellers.